Live. Hola. Les damos la bienvenida. Hola a todos. Can everyone hear us? We're live. My name is Christine. Me llamo Christine. Soy creadora de contenidos bilingües aquí en el Aquarium. I'm a bilingual content creator here in Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I'm so excited to be chatting today with our wonderful Amparo. Amparo, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi. Hola. Hello. My name is Amparo Leyman Pino, and I'm the director of interpretive programs here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Very, very happy to be with all of you this afternoon.
And we're here as well with our lovely bilingual content creator, Celeste. Celeste, si quieres introducirte.
Hi, everyone. Hola a todos. My name is Celeste Lopez Baird, and I am a bilingual senior content creator here at the Aquarium, and I'm super excited. This is my first live stream, so I'm very excited. I have 2 cups of coffee, so bring it on.
Ya está lista.
Listísima.
Buenísimo.
Lovely.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hoy vamos a hablar un poco bilingüe. We're going to do this presentation in bilingual style. Let us know in the chat if you speak Spanish. Tell us where you're coming from. Avísanos ahí en el chat si hablas español. Vamos a hacer esta presentación, este live stream bilingüe. And so, yes, we're so excited to be chatting today with our director of Guest Experience Interpretive Programs today, a little bit about inclusive learning environments, her work, her background, and what she does here at the Aquarium. So before we get started, actually, Amparo, I have a little bit of some, not trivia, but more so like icebreaker questions. Celeste had this great idea. Entonces te vamos a preguntar aquí. If you could trade places with any animal at the aquarium, which animal would it be and why? Entonces, si puedes intercambiar lugares con cualquier animal en el acuario, ¿cuál sería y por qué?
Tuna. Like.
The tuna fish.
Yeah. Look, have you seen them move? They're super athletic. They're super fast. They have this amazing environment, which is the open sea exhibit or habitat. Plus, they're gorgeous.
They
so
are
I will be
beautiful.
gorgeous, athletic, and fast. I trade, like.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
great.
She knew
Yeah.
it already at the top of her head. She knew the tuna. It's a beautiful animal and super fast.
Super fast.
It's true.
Yes.
Okay, next question. This is probably easy for you too. What toy or activity or childhood, maybe memory, do you think really helped you sort of jumpstart or maybe like planted a seed for you in what you wanted to do in life? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I have several stories, but I will say that the best thing ever was create our own games or our own role playing when I was a kid. And every time I think, even when I was in charge of my nieces and my baby cousins, etc., I was creating games for them. I was like, this is amazing. This is what I can do for living, right? Like creating things for them to learn and play, etc. That was my super fave. But my above all things, because my brother and I and my cousin, we used to play, for example, the pharmacy, and we used to set up a pharmacy at home. The papeleria, like the stationery.
The restaurant.
Yeah. Not much the restaurant. It's a lot of work. It's better just to sell and to things. But playing spies was my favorite. We forged our passports with the money from the Monopoly and the Turista. Turista is the Mexican Monopoly.
Okay.
With that, in Mexico, you also buy these notes from the Mexican pesos on the market. And so we had our portfolio. I will dress my brother and his friend as women. I was dressed as a boy to cross the border. It was amazing. Walkie-talkies. That is the type of things. Yeah, my brother also converted a closet into a spaceship.
Wow.
So those type of things that when you're using your imagination and props that you have at home, that's the thing that I know that helped me to be who I am today and to select what I do for a living. Yes, I love it.
Beautiful. So creative, and I love the imagination, the dress up, the different like tools, things that you use from other games.
You need to have wigs.
I love it. That's beautiful to set you up, later in life for what you do today. I love it. My sisters and I used to play actually dry cleaner, so we had like set up in our windows in my bedroom window and pretend people were driving through and take out all my clothes from the closet. I love those childhood memories. So tell us, Amparo, a little bit about what you do in Guest Experience. Tell us about your work, your background, and a little bit of of what you do here at the aquarium.
Sure thing. I need to be very honest with you. My work is nothing without the team that I lead, because the Guest Experience Interpretive Programs is precisely all the people that are on floor with our guests, talking to our guests, explaining them things, engaging with them in a conversation that is profound, that is personal, but also full of concepts and data about the ocean, so they fall in love with the ocean. So that's the department I lead, and I have amazing naturalists who are all the time on floor. Today I saw one of them giving for the first time open sea feeding program, and you see this person shining with a microphone and telling stories and the jokes of why it's important to stay in school, because the sardines, if they stay in the school, they survive in the ocean. And all those things are, for me, amazing. The specialists and how they prepare and work with our guides. And I cannot be more grateful with the guides, because we have 16 to 30 guides volunteering in 23 shifts in a weekly basis in our aquarium. And those are the people who carry on all these stories that we tell to our guests to fall in love with the ocean, to believe in our mission on the conservation of the oceans, because they were inspired by these people.
I love that. That's beautiful. Starting with the people you work with, the team you work with, and their impact. Tell me a little bit more about you say stories. What is that importance of the storytelling and the stories that these presenters are sharing, your team members are sharing to the audience, and how you can link the stories through empathy and through the love of the ocean that you're talking about? What's that click and that importance there?
I think it's a combination of facts, right? For example, here we have the plush of the isopod, right? Which, by the way,
yes,
we're very fortunate here at the aquarium to have them. Oh, so nice and soft. We're very fortunate to have this type of species at the aquarium. The isopods live at the very bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
Are the
Not
roly
many
polies
people
of the
know
ocean.
about these animals.
Right. And here at the aquarium, you can touch them. And then you not only seeing them, you're touching them, and then you're having the conversation on how come we can have them at this level, at sea level, right? When they're under the high pressure of the ocean, etc., and how delicate they are. And there are also cultures that they ate them. They, in Asia, they eat the isopods. So we didn't know that, and that's the opportunity of not only talking about the science behind all the habitats and their inhabitants, meaning all the species that live in these environments, but also how we are all connected with them, right? How we are related to our friends, the penguins, and my master's tunas, and the mahi or dorado or dolphin fish. All these things that we do, the otters, etc. You're not alien to these creatures. We are together. We are close. We're connected because the ocean connects us all. It's really beautiful.
So telling those stories in a relatable manner that helps people understand we're not apart from the ocean just because we live on land, but we're all connected and we're all dependent on a healthy, happy, thriving ocean. And making that link, that connection for people to fall in love with and care for the ocean.
And some of us, we also are nurtured by the ocean, right?
Yes.
We eat the
Healing.
tunas.
Exacto.
Right?
Provide sustenance and food.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And I say some of us because I know there are people who don't eat any type of creature, only plants and vegetables, which is fine. But some of us, we do.
Yeah.
So the ocean is more than just a beautiful place. It's also, a way for us to thrive.
I love that.
Climate depends on the ocean. Yeah, we can continue talking about
Beautiful. I want to also say a little shout out here. We mentioned these little plushies, these little animals that we have up here. Estos se pueden encontrar en nuestra tienda here in person, but also on our online shop. The link is there in the chat. Entonces, all the proceeds go towards our mission and our work here at the aquarium. So definitely check them out. Celeste nos dio la bendición de traerlos, all these animalitos.
And I also, fun fact, recently they changed all the plushies' eyes. So they're not plastic anymore.
Good shout out. Yes.
They're all fabric.
Plastic-free shop.
Yes. And these new species. No, it's not a new species, but like for me, I didn't know, like, for example, this one is the sea bunny. And it's so cute. In real life, it's like the size of a thumb.
Wow.
Sorry, like an inch.
Wow.
So there are a lot of very cute creatures that we're learning about still.
Yes, definitely check them out. The link is in the chat. Thank you, Celeste. Okay, Amparo, quiero preguntarte un poco sobre tu trabajo con niños. I know you've mentioned to us that you worked with children in the past and how that really inspired you to go on and do what you do today. And also kind of create your own path, charting your own path through your work with children.
Yeah, well, I've been working with and for children for many years. I started perhaps...
We have a beautiful image up here of Amparo
Yes,
working.
I'm doing a program at Escondido Elementary School in Palo Alto.
I love that.
And it's a citizen scientist program that I was test piloting for Cornell University. But this is in the 2000s. But I started working with children in... Gosh, I was 15 years old and I was doing camps. I had a business on entertaining children at their birthday parties. So I've been working with and for children for many years. Mm-hmm. But when I transitioned by serendipity to work at the Children's Museum in Mexico City when it recently opened, that is a big shift in my career and in my understanding. And these things that I was telling you earlier about, playing, being a spy, etc., transformed it into, let's create programs or let's create exhibits for children. That is like the professionalization of this creative mind into something that I can do, not for just my cousins or children that hire me to make their birthday party super cool, because we were having like a hospital of dolls or disassembled electronics type of activities at the birthday parties. But now it's like, I used to do this at birthday parties. Let's have a program at the museum so we can talk about the computer and they can break the computer apart, right? And they can see what is inside. I was super curious as a child. I was playing with a turntable at my house or repairing the phones that were... We moved into a house that these old phones, and my brother and I were trying to fix them, and all those things.
Many engineers, I love it.
Yeah. I wanted to be an engineer when I was way younger.
I love how you brought in a lot of your childhood, experiences and core memories into what you do. So you were like, I remember doing this as a child. How can I bring this back into what I'm doing today at a museum with kids? It's beautiful.
Yeah, and now you have here a photo of myself. 30 years
Here we
ago.
go.
Which one is
Picture?
you?
I love it.
There's a woman looking at her watch.
Esa.
No, that's not me.
Okay.
Then the next one is it's a woman is looking at the camera, right? With bangs. And then the next one with a white, almost high collar.
Turtleneck
that's me.
almost? Okay.
Almost turtleneck.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Wonderful.
With the hands crossed in front of me.
Okay, tell us a little bit about this picture. What were you doing here?
This is the huddle before going on floor.
Okay.
And I don't know who took this photo. This photo appeared on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and this group of explainers at the Children's Museum, they're called cuates. And cuate is a word in Nahuatl, which is our ancient language in Mexico, that means friend. So we were the cuates, los cuates. And this is the first coat that we wore. Now they use something else that it looks half of an apron, half a vest. It's a weird thing. I don't know. I haven't been to the museum, to the Children's Museum in a while. But back then, because it was a science center / children's museum, we wore a coat. And I remember in my pockets, I used to have balloons and trinkets. to explain things to children, and also a tape.
Okay.
Because if I was going to be in the radio station, because we had an exhibition that was the radio, I brought my own mixtape. This was 1995 or 94. My mixtape to put it in and have like dun dun, like music,
nice.
and make it very dramatic, etc. So yeah, and I was voted the best explainer in my cohort. I'm in the second cohort of the Children's Museum. So this is the huddle before going on floor. So we're receiving information, we're receiving enrichments, we are giving some direction before going on floor. And yeah, and Gabi Celis is the woman who's looking at
The watch.
the watch. I don't know why. And yeah, there are a lot of anecdotes and legends of Laura Papalote, meaning like you have to put your watch at the time of the museum so you will clock in on time, right? If not, like, no, I was on time. No, 2 minutes late.
Okay, tell us about, because I know oftentimes in these live streams, the people would love to hear more about like how to get jump started in a career in ocean conservation and science, guest experience. A little bit about what you do. Like you're talking here about like you're starting on the floor, and I love that you had that early career onset there on the floor, and now being a director of guest experience. So tell us a little bit about that journey, and if anyone here has questions about starting in their career.
Sure. Well, for me, this was kind of serendipitous. I saw the Children's Museum being built close to my neighborhood in Mexico City. And I told my cousin, who I hired for this birthday parties, let's write our CV and let's go and drop it off. And he was like, okay. It was 1994. So I was 21, going on 22, and my cousin 19, 18, 19, something like that. The point is that we did it, and we went there, and we knocked on the staff entrance, and they said, oh yeah, they're interviewing, do you want to get in the line? We didn't know about that.
Wow.
We just arrived, we got in the line, we got hired.
Perfect time and place.
Wow.
Yeah. But that thing changed a lot of things in my life and in my understanding, because we were doing science interpretation. We were doing science communication. And I love physics. I love science and explaining light and explaining waves and explaining also the natural world and why Mexico is so biodiverse and all those things and cultures, etc. I had a blast. For me, it was like I found my mothership. I love this place. Then I finished college because I was still a student. I was studying psychology. I have a BS in psychology. And I finished my degree, and I went to the director of education, like, oh, please, I want to be in your team. She gave me some assignment just to, I think, entertain me. But the director of exhibits told me, I need a person like you.
Wow.
You have this combination of knowing how to create these activities, but you have the knowledge of child development and cognitive development, etc. I need you. And I'm very grateful with Maribel Ibarra because she changed my life.
Wow.
She gave me the opportunity to flourish, to grow, and to find the place and the space to be myself and to create these things. I did a lot of things between the Children's Museum and today, right? I co-founded a school.
Wow, increíble.
I worked at a franchise that teaches computer skills for children. I've been a counselor for high schoolers. I have done a lot of things, bridging formal and informal education. But at the end, I have always had my heart in science communication, and I never left it, and they didn't leave me.
Wow.
Right? And I became a consultant because please help us with this, help us with that. And I'm like, okay, fine, I put it in Spanish and I'll help you with these other things. So yeah.
Amazing.
I think that's great because sometimes like that tells you, just go for it.
Yeah.
And like if you want something, go for it. You never know. And it's just like, what are you gonna lose? To be rejected? That's fine. You move on.
Right.
But then there comes the time, or it might come a time where you're in the right place at the right time. You never know. You have to keep trying.
Yeah, you need to ask, what is the worst thing that was going
Right.
to happen? They tell you no, and you're in the same place where you were. So, yeah.
And the value of finding people who believe in you, like you mentioned, Maribel, I think her name was, mentors, people who believe in you to push you
Yeah.
forward and really bloom.
Yeah, and Maribel and I, we continue having projects still not that far, like a few months before.
Wow. I
Yeah,
love it.
we're still friends, and we spoke 2 days ago.
Increíble.
Yeah, so these people that believe in you and that they give you the platform to
Yes.
grow, and you take the opportunity and you make out of the best, because you can
run
also
with
receive
it.
an opportunity and not take it,
Right.
or
Yes.
receive the opportunity and not make it
Not my
good
fit.
experience.
Right.
Or maybe you don't like it.
Right.
Maybe you experience it and it's like, you know what? It's not what I wanted. It's
Yeah.
not what I thought it was. That's
Right.
valid too.
Yeah, that's super valid. Yes.
Now, I want to thank you, Amparo. I want to get into a little bit more here on inclusividad, but I see some questions in the chat. Let's see. Somebody's asking about what about adults? Before we talk about inclusivity, we're going to move on to inclusive learning environments. But somebody's asking here, what about adults? How do you get them involved in ocean conservation? Is it through their children, if someone's asking?
Well, there are adults that don't have children in their lives, or they are done with having children in their lives as well. But I have to say that children are amazing to make adults do things. I was teaching
Yes, so
the
true.
computer skills, and a parent came to my classroom and said, I don't know what you told my child or what was the class about, but I quit smoking last week. I want
Wow.
to tell you thank you, because I've been trying, I couldn't. And then I had a conversation with my son, but who, by the time Geronimo was 6, 7 years old. And I'm like, children are like that. They're the best advocates for whatever. Yes, through children, it of course it's a good way to, but I think that when you're an adult, you're also thinking about your legacy. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to leave to the next generations? What are you going to inherit to others? And that's when we get very aware of, I cannot leave this world this way.
Yeah.
I need
right.
to
make a difference.
put the my grain of salt, or my rock of salt,
Exacto.
right?
I love that. Beautiful, Amparo. Gracias. I love what you do. I want to talk a little bit more. I'm going to switch it over here to Celeste in a minute so we
Sure.
can have time for her. But real quick, before we get into the Kelp Forest by Blended Languages, tell me a little bit about what does inclusive learning environment mean and how you're applying it here at the aquarium.
Oh, yeah.
Context of like background and culture, everything related to that concept.
Yes, I have become an expert in inclusive learning environments. This means, how can we create, either in the case of the school, when I created the school, or co-created, it's not just my idea, when I co-created the school, when I created a program, when I have created an exhibition or a museum. I have also participated in the creation of a lot of new museums around the world, the first children's museum in Saudi Arabia and so forth. How can we make it in a way that can engage and can touch the souls of many people with and without disabilities, with proficiency in one language and the others, right? And even I have an essay written about breaking the silos, right? That to really design for all. And I always make this example with the OXO. I'm sorry for the commercial, but they're really good at having these kitchen gadgets. They are meant for people with arthritis, but they're so ergonomic that are for everyone. How can we use that example of these gadgets for the kitchen that are for everyone, but they're tackling the needs of a very specific group of people with arthritis?
Right.
And the same thing with our programs. How can we tackle that they are for everyone? And we're going to talk about blended language, right? I was advised. So how can we create for everyone when we're also talking blended English-Spanish? So our guests who feel more comfortable learning in Spanish can connect with this. But it could be something physical, the inclusion. it could be something environmental, but the most important is the attitudinal. How the people who are the mediators, the science communicators, the explainers, the interpreters have an attitude of being inclusive and welcoming. That's what make the difference. I can design whatever to make it very cool. The penguin is friends with the isopod, whatever you want, but if the person who is the mediator between the content and the audience hasn't drank that Kool-Aid, it's not gonna work.
I think one example you gave me, los voluntarios aquí les están enseñando cómo hablar español. Frasecitas, palabras, like you're teaching some of the volunteers, interpreters to speak some Spanish. So it's a little bit about that is what you're saying. Like we have a lot of Spanish-speaking guests and audience, and so we're sort of helping the people on the floor be those mediators, be those welcoming people.
And people don't need to speak all the languages in the world. There's only one language that you need to speak. There's a language of friendship.
Love. Yes.
Love, yeah.
Exactly.
Friendship, love, joy. I always tell my team, the language of friendship and joy.
Love it.
Which is the
100%.
language of love, right?
Buenísimo.
Yeah.
Celeste,
That's great.
Well,
that's
you, porque tenemos mucho que hablar aquí.
I know, and that's a great segue porque I would like you to speak about that, the guest experience, because what does the guest experience team bring to the table in the fact that it has to present a storytelling. You have the journey that you have to take the guest once they come into the aquarium. What's in your mind? How do you plan those experiences? How does that work with your team? What would you tell them? What inspires you to create a new program, maybe?
Yeah, well, this is a combination of several factors, right? On one hand, we have a very clear mission, and we have the habitats that are breathtaking. So you are in front of the kelp forest. You're in front of open sea. You are watching the otters being playful in and out or being fed or whatever. So you have these clear spaces that are breathtaking. Mm-hmm. And then with these visuals, the body language of the presenter, then you are putting all these pieces of what are all the facts or the information that we're sharing with the public, with our guests, about what's going on. For example, in this case, this is Mariana doing the blended language with the diver inside. The diver is also bilingual, and they're talking and they're having a conversation of, oh, what are you feeding them, and why they eat that, how does it work, where this water comes from, and why do we have that environment that way, and what it takes to pump this water in and out, and how come there are creatures that come as a spore and then they grow and thrive in this kelp forest because it's so healthy. And how can we, with our responsible use of water, plastics, all these things were really contributing to the health and wellness of all the species in the ocean, right? And then perhaps this Seafood Watch program, and we talk about the sustainability of what we eat from the ocean, right? But to answer your question, I think is walking little by little the audience from things or concepts that are, again, in front of something beautiful, and then goes to the personal and the call of action. Right. We're very good at that. And okay, this is a story, and we do, and the call of action. What can you do?
Yes.
What is your responsibility? You're part of this, right? We work here at the aquarium, but you're part of this family, and we're in this together. How can we count on you to move the needle towards a more sustainable planet for your children, your grandchildren, right?
And going back to the way you started, and with kids and bringing them, activities and hands-on activities, and how when you were growing up had all the spy thing and all it. I feel you bring that to your work, because at the end of the day, adults are kids in a way.
Yeah.
So we all have that excitement. We all want to be explorers. We all want to learn new things. We're curious. So I feel you bring that to a table like that. That kid, you bring out that kid that it's
That playful energy. Sí.
And that's great, because that's how we all connect with friendships, love, just being human. This is all part of it.
Yeah.
And you're right, the aquarium is really good at that. So
And
great job.
the exhibits speak for themselves, like you said. You fall in love with them, and you're like, oh, wow, ¿qué es esto? ¿Verdad? ¿Qué estoy viendo?
Yeah. Today, again, I was watching my team deliver this open sea feeding.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think we have an image. There we go. Of
Yes.
the open sea.
And then out of the sudden, the school of sardines comes up, like
Wow.
and all the everyone we were there, all of us, we were like, oh, is that all the moment of awe of wow of
That's just magic. Wow.
it's magic, right? Because you're seeing the tunas, as I was saying earlier,
Yes.
going super fast and eating all the squid and come grab soup, and then it's like a poem. It's like,
Oh, that's a beautiful way to describe it. Yes.
You
That's
put your
awesome.
jaw on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't train them to do this type of shows, right? This is not SeaWorld of seeing the sea animals doing what we say. They're
Right.
doing what they do.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, right? We're cutting, it's like a slice of the ocean, and you're seeing it in front of you.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a scuba diver. We do that for you.
We have it here.
Yeah.
I
We
love
have it
it.
here.
Y qué lujo.
Es un
What
lujo,
a privilege to be able to witness that, because that's it's something that we don't see, but bringing it out to the public and say, yeah, this is what happens underneath. You see the
Yeah.
ocean back out there. This is what's happening. It is beautiful and it's amazing.
Yes.
And I want to touch a little bit about the bilingual initiative that the Aquarium is conducting, and how that affects your job and your team and the experiences you're showing,
Yeah.
providing.
I would not say that it affects us. Actually, it makes us bigger and stronger, because to be very proposeful or intentional of delivering programs in English and Spanish is making us stronger, because Monterey County with Imperial counties here in California are the two counties where Spanish is the language that is spoken the most. So we have a responsibility to cater to these audiences in the language where they feel more comfortable to learn. They might speak also English, but they feel more comfortable to learn in their home language, right?
Right.
Now, this is one thing. Second, it makes us stronger, because that makes us an organization, a place when everyone is welcome. Because when you see your language, you're like, oh, there's a place for me. I can be part of this, right? So that makes us stronger. And third, because having these spaces when we can have people who speak English and Spanish at the same time makes us inclusive and not just integrating people to our programs and our exhibits. Makes us people be part of the same community. Este es tu acuario. This is your aquarium.
Sí.
This is for everyone. Everyone is welcome. I have also been asked a lot of the questions. Are we going to address other languages, etc.? Let us be good at this
Eso.
bilingual,
First,
and
sí,
then we
claro.
become very good at multilingualism. I
We
have
can
seen
expand.
it. Yeah, I have seen it with other organizations, sister organizations here in California, here in the Bay Area. I'm pretty confident that we can go in that direction as well. But for now, we have this, and yes, we have staff who speak Spanish, but most importantly, our guests speak Spanish, right? It's like, oh, the ambassador of Nigeria is coming. Well, learn how to say hello, good morning,
Yeah.
right, in his home language, and then sit down at the table and make this person feel comfortable, right? So let's think that all these people that come to the aquarium are the ambassadors of their culture at our aquarium, and we make them feel super welcome, and we set up the table for them to be with us and to share this love for the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
no,
that
and
lens.
as someone that English is her second language, I can attest to that. Like for me, going to a place that they're speaking Spanish is just like, I immediately relax. I'm drawn to that group of people, and it's just I feel I can be myself, and it creates an impact, especially with the communities that live around here. Like this is their aquarium too.
Exacto.
Yes.
And
El hogar.
yes, so that inclusivity that you're mentioning is crucial. Yeah. Can you tell us about your role in developing the kelp forest bilingual blended language experience?
Sure. This is also a very beautiful love story, because I before joining the aquarium, I was consulting for the aquarium and many other organizations, not only here in the U.S. in many latitudes, but when the aquarium called me, it was like, can we create things for Latinos? And I was like, what if we create things for everyone,
I love
right?
that.
How can we adapt what you have that you're really good at, those programs that you're already thriving, how can we adapt them to be like open for everyone, where we could have people who only speak English and only speak Spanish at the same program at the same time, right? Because at the moment that I say, oh, sorry, this presentation is going to be only in English, people who don't feel comfortable learning in English or don't speak English, they will not
We'll check
walk
out.
away.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
You'd start to
and
get
the
to
same,
divide.
if I say, oh, este programa va a ser en español, those people who don't speak Spanish, they will
Exacto.
walk away as well. But if we say, este programa is going to be en español y en inglés, everyone's welcome, then we can sit down. When we did the pilots, it was like, oh, it's amazing. People loved it. We have very good comments and feedback from the audience, like, oh, this was so nice. Nobody, because you also need to tailor with cognate words.
Right.
So when you're switching from one language to the other, you're not losing the idea. You have the visuals, you have the environment. So all these pieces makes the program to be very complete. So regardless who speaks what is there, and guess what? People like us who are bilingual, they're not blocking the listening when things are repeated, because the blended language is not repeating. It's rather flowing the conversation from one language to the other, right? The conversation continues, so you keep also the attention for those of us who are bilingual. And if not, you're like Charlie Brown and the teacher. The third time that they're repeating something, you're like, mwah, 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 mwah. Right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's the whole thing. And I learned it from an exhibit, because I was consulting for the NAT at that time. They have a beautiful exhibition called Desert at Night. It's a theatrical exhibition. And I told them, what if we do this live?
Wow.
What if we use this? I've been working in this project, actually.
And now, for those who aren't quite sure what Amparo is talking about, we have a blended language presentation at the Kelp Forest exhibit, correct, Amparo?
Yes,
Or we're bringing it back.
Yeah, we have prepared the kelp forest, the penguin feeding. Bat Race is also bilingual, and Luna, an auditorium presentation, is also bilingual. And during Hispanic Heritage Month,
También.
we're preparing all our stuff. Right now we're in preparation mode. So by September, we're ready to have them, and our hope is they're coming to stay. They
Buenísimo.
come and they will stay.
So when there's feedings and programs, they have the presenter in front, kind of talking to the audience, para que los que estaban, si no saben, exacto, aquí la foto que estamos poniendo aquí en la pantalla.
Sí. Llegaron para quedarse. Es la idea.
Exacto.
No,
Es
it's
un piloto.
excellent. That's great. I've witnessed some, and it's really engaging.
Yeah.
But there's a strategy, like you say. Like, it's not just I'm gonna speak Spanglish just to speak
You
Spanglish.
can't wing it.
Yeah, you can wing it. It's like, how to do it in a way that you don't lose either audience, either or.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So with that, what would you say are your challenges and the joys of doing this bilingual integration?
Yeah, well, we need to build capacity, right? Meaning we need to have the staff to do it. And I'm very grateful. We have 2 specialists who are bilingual in the team. And let me think, right now, I think it's 3 or 4. I think 4 specialists who are bilingual as well. The point is that we need to have staff who can deliver, and we're also launching the Naturalistas program, which is with the guides. Guides who speak Spanish are also part of this group. We have recruited 12 of them. So
Buenísimo.
we're moving forward. There are 100 volunteers who have expressed or they have tell us that they speak Spanish. And from those, the ones who feel very comfortable doing interpretation bilingually are the ones who are building with us, co-creating the program Naturalistas. So it's building capacity, and then as in every presentation that we do, there is practice, rehearsing,
Right.
and excelling, because the practice, la práctica hace el maestro, right? Practice makes
Perfect.
The master.
the master. Yeah,
See,
master.
practice
Perfecto.
makes perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
practice makes perfect. Yes,
I think perfect is a strong word. Let's
it
say
is.
this.
It is.
Yeah, it's
It
a
is,
lot of
but-
pressure.
But let's say that if you practice,
Right.
you will be
You master it.
proficient in,
Exactly.
in whatever you do, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and what are some of the joys that you like once you do it? Like, what do you like the most about it?
I think that the outcome of having strong messages being delivered in both languages are equally important. It's English matters as much as Spanish or any other language, right?
Right.
And we're really good at being the host of people from all over the world, right? But yeah, I think that if I continue listening these comments or this feedback from the audience that we have received when we do this blended language of, this was great, I loved it, my child is learning Spanish in school or whatever, that's when we have a home run. That's when we have, like, yes, we are meeting our goal. And foremost, the message of conservation is getting out in, like, yes or yes, right? Yes or sí. Like,
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah.
If we really want to promote la conservación del océano, we have to include languages. We have to include different
Para todos.
people. Para todos. Not only not excluding all the people that speak a different language. And I love that the fact that the goal is to continue with other languages. But as of now, the main one is going to be Spanish, and we're learning and we're growing.
yeah, that will create a precedent.
Exactly.
And yes, I have seen it in many organizations how going from one language can be transferred the learnings to others. I work a project with the Lawrence Hall of Science on, it's called language neutral
Okay.
learning environment. So
Do you have a picture de uno de los libros o no?
no,
Esta
but
no. Okay.
no, I don't know if I mentioned language neutral. Perhaps in one of my on the articles that I have written.
Okay.
Language neutral, yeah. But
Yeah, here's some images of the articles.
yeah, well, the article at the far, I think, right for you, that has the aquarium photo, that's all about blended language. And then in the book, Race and Sociocultural Inclusion in Science Communication, that's when I talk about how we need to be very inclusive in our approach of designing programs and exhibits, and having this layer cake. That's the term, the layer cake approach, where you put all the layers, right, instead of the cupcakes, and separating things and do it. Perhaps it's in that, in race and social cultural inclusion in science communication. Yeah.
Beautiful. Amparo, I wanted to ask you here about
Sure.
a little bit about like what does that co-creation look like? Mencionaste naturalistas creando con tu equipo. What does that look like? Kind of like give us the behind the scenes look, and when you're creating a
yeah.
program with your team, do they they run with it, or is it more of like a co-creation with like this is what we want it to look like?
Yeah, there are programs that are created by the programs team, right? The specialists and the managers, and they do their research, and then they create the narratives, and it's a beautiful process. Now, the naturalistas is actually a bigger program that uses our interpretive programs, the programs that we have on the floor, and they're helping us to have other stations that are going to be complementary of what we offer in our everyday offering of the touching pools and such. What other things can they have with props, with cards? These are very initial ideas, because co-creation means that from their experience working on floor, what are the things or the questions that are they are lingering with our guests that we can bring and create new stations for having more conversations about penguins or isopods or you know. So that's part of the the let's say the ideas that we're cooking together. Actually, we have a meeting this week and we're moving forward. So we have some months to put it into place. They will have time again to practice. They will in the making. They're gonna bring their family and friends to practice with.
Oh,
right?
nice.
Because they also need people who are bilingual, right?
Like prototype a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Piloting, prototyping.
Piloting.
Yeah,
I love how it's not even co-creation just with your team, pero también con los que están ahí visitando.
Right.
It's co-creation with the guests. That's so cool. I didn't even think about that. Like the questions that they have, and then you're like, oh, let's integrate this into and expand more from here.
Yeah. There's a wealth of experience from our guides and my team, because they're out there engaging with the audience.
They're there on the floor, in the front.
Exactly. So first-hand experience, first-hand anecdotes, first-hand needs. They see, they listen. And this is what feeds the ideas of what is going to click with the people. Oh, because they've been asking this, because they're curious about this.
I love it, Amparo. Y no lo mencioné, pero in the picture previously that Krista had put up, if anybody has questions about these articles and publications that Amparo wrote and co-wrote with and co-authored, I believe they're all public, correct? So we can put the links there in the chat.
They're all public. And for example, the Museum Accessibility Spectrum, that's the latest essay I published. That's open source.
Open source.
Yeah,
okay.
Fully open source, the whole book. The editors, Allison and Vanessa. Vanessa works for the Smithsonian. Allison is a professor at a university in the UK. They're amazing colleagues. They put a lot of heart, but they also advocated so much to make a book accessible, about accessibility accessible, right? So no paywall, no nothing.
Oh, wow.
You just go there, you read it, and you have it.
Amazing.
And yeah.
Buenísimo.
So cool.
Gracias, Amparo. Ahí vamos a mencionar a publicar los enlaces. Okay, we're going to wrap up here in a little bit. If anybody has any lingering questions, write them in the chat. Put them in there in the chat. We can answer. I would love to ask, Amparo, ¿qué es lo que esperas cuando uno viene a visitar y ve la presentación? ¿Qué es lo que uno espera que la gente se va del acuario? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Like, what do you wish that they walk away with cuando uno llega a visitar? Y cuando se va a su hogar, a su comunidad, ¿qué es lo que deberían de llevar con ellos?
Yeah. I think that we talked about earlier about the calls of action, that every program ends with a call of action. And in that sense, what I wish is that people take that call of action serious. And they say, okay, from now on, I'm going to blah, you know, be
Try to eat
mindful where I'm gonna,
sustainably.
I'm gonna toss the lithium batteries, right? Because we have an auditorium presentation about that,
Wow.
or I'm these are my choices on separating my garbage or using plastics. All those things are so clear in the messaging of our programs, and they're easy to put into practice. So that's my hope.
Like un granito de arena, one small impact that you can make and walk away with from something you learned either today or when you come and visit at the aquarium. Buenísimo. Preguntas, si alguien tiene preguntas aquí. Okay, ¿qué podemos esperar para tu equipo, los programas de aquí, el acuario? What can we expect to see in the future?
Uy, well.
Or what's next?
What's next? There are a couple of programs that are going through a refresh, right? We have an albatross called Macana, and we're refreshing how we're gonna communicate all the science around albatross, and also the open sea, which is a classic and oldie but goodie, but it's also under a refresh. The teammate who's in charge of this refreshing is having a lot of conversation again with our team to collect anecdotes and pieces of curiosity. What are the curiosities out there, so the team can contribute with ideas. And I was telling earlier that this is a combination of a lot of layers, and one of them is also the ocean literacy standards or goals that we need to take into account. So it's not just, what do we want to teach? No, there are things, there are goals standardized for the conservation of the oceans, and that's what we are trying also to incorporate in and train our team.
I love it. So a lot of innovation, creativity, and also global initiatives that we're taking into account when creating.
Yeah.
Buenísimo. Celeste, otra pregunta que querés antes de terminar aquí? Any other questions in the chat?
Well, it's not a question, but I just want to commend your team,
Sí.
you and your team, for todo lo que hacen, bringing people to the aquarium and share with them the knowledge so they fall in love with the ocean, so they know the ocean, they fall in love with it. That's the way I feel. It's like it's the way to inspire ocean conservation, because it's hard to love something you don't know. So by sharing all the knowledge and anecdotes and fun facts about the animals, and showing how how they're fed and all those things, that's when there's a click, like a switch. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Or that's how going back to the human connection, that's what touches someone and make them at the end of the day to say, you know what, I'm going to bring my water bottle all the time instead of buying bottles of plastic. Like little changes that add up and create a big difference at the end. This is a job that is for all of us. We all have to be in this, and thank you to you and your team for putting all that out there and be there, like you said, genuinely. They do feel it. They love what they do, and they love the ocean, and people see it and feel it too.
Yeah, it's like we're the wing men and women
Exacto.
of the ocean, right? Trying to make these two worlds fall in love with each other. Right?
Oh, that's a good way to see it too.
Yeah.
I love the way you speak, Amparo. So poetic.
Matchmaker.
Sí.
The aquarium is a matchmaker.
I love it. Exacto.
But I have to say that also every person at the aquarium has this goal and this role. From the moment that you walk into our doors, our colleagues from admissions, security, everyone is able to share this interpretive sound bits with our guests. From the very first moment that you call concierge, everyone at this organization is so committed. And we still kind of the show because we have a microphone and the kelp forest or a big habitat or the otters in front of us. But we cannot do this with our colleagues from animal care that we learn so much from them, right? And train our team and be ready to do this job of making people fall in love.
I love
With
it.
the
Mira,
ocean.
es súper cierto. Todos tenemos el poder y el impacto para hacer una diferencia para el océano. I love it. Gracias, Amparo, por estar con nosotras.
Gracias,
hoy. This
muchas
was
Gracias
amazing.
por invitarme.
Gracias a todos.
Thank you all for joining. I also wanted to mention, we didn't earlier, but if you can't make it to the aquarium in person to come see these presentations and feedings in person, you can always catch our live cams that are on our website and on our YouTube. We can drop the link here in the chat as well for our live cams of the different exhibits, like the penguins and the otters, and spider crab was today, deep sea cam. So many different live cams on there that we can see actually through virtually the beautiful exhibits. Thank you everyone for joining. Gracias por estar con nosotros, aprender un poco de Amparo y su trabajo.
Ay, muchas gracias por invitarme. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course.
Gracias al behind the team.
Yes,
Digo, behind
thank
the
you.
scene.
Liliana, Krista, Joe, all of the amazing
Thank you,
tech
guys.
support in the
You
background.
made it possible.
We wouldn't have done this without their huge help. And yes,
Facts.
stay tuned for our next one next month. We have these monthly live streams with different guests and experiences from the staff, just so you can get a peek insight view of what we're doing here at the aquarium to share and inspire the conservation of the ocean.
Bye.
Ciao, gracias.